JT probably isn't going to be able to save him. All eyes for me is just going to be on this mid lane. Like it really feels like a matter of pride coming through from both of these guys, right? Somnus, I thought he was struggling, certainly in that first game at the very beginning. Nothing to say, was just bodying him. He was at the bottom of the net worth for quite some way, but the supports, it was a real team performance to be able to allow him to get a little bit more of that farm for himself. I think he only died like once, maybe twice the entire game, and I feel like that was just an understanding of what every single person needed in game number one. For Team Turtle, it was to delay the game out. This time, it's a little bit different in my eyes, right? Like, you've got the tools to be able to go early, but honestly, even going late, not looking like a bad draft for Team Turtle relative to what G2.IG have.
Yeah, you have a real solid tri-core, right, with scaling. And this is kind of leading me into my question to you now. You know, second pick versus first pick. We had that swap around where, of course, G2.IG with the last pick now. Did the Wind Ranger prove to be like a bit of a gotcha pick? Is this Wind Ranger, you know, remedying a draft that was already faltering? How do you feel about that whole situation playing out?
I mean, I'm not as far as Slack's level, but I'm not a fan of the Wind Ranger 1 at all. I just feel like it's a little bit too narrow-minded. I think there are certain situations where it can be good when you're going up against something like a Viper, for example, that can really just crush it, both in the lane as well as in the early parts of the game. But it's just one of those heroes that there's such a small window for error, basically, right? Like, if you screw up a couple of these ganks and you fall behind, you don't have that same farming potential as a Razor, as a Leshrac, even a DK, right? If he's looking to start to take away a bunch of your towers, you're going to have very little parts of the map to be able to farm around.
At least Death War doesn't have True Strike anymore, so the Wind Ranger's going to be all right with that.
Small miracles.
Yeah, little victories. Looks like we're going to have a delayed smoke from both teams, though, this time. Neither of them smoking out their base. Enchantress holding one over on G2.IG side, and Picho holding the other one over on the other. Holding on that Dire Ancient's high ground area, coming down out of the map as
So what is ClickUp? ClickUp is an all-in-one productivity software where you can manage everything and anything related to your work. Your documents, your chats, your whiteboards, your projects. The value of this, you don't have to buy 5 softwares to do this. You don't have to be hopping back and forth between multiple tabs, trying to find that email from a year ago. Instead, you can find everything in a matter of seconds, keeping your work and everything related to productivity organized in a single place.
Sometimes the cog doesn't reach its desired position quite as easily. But yeah, I just want to see him spamming this out, particularly onto the Witch Doctor, right? Like, you need to try and drain him away before he can get this Voodoo Festoration going against you.
God, I can't help but think of Jenkins whenever you say that. The festering Voodoo Festoration. Fester was one of his favorite words for a long time. Well, yeah, definitely eyes on that mid lane as we do see Nothing to Say Tinker, the specialty hero brought out for the signature player, and it's undergone a few changes like you were talking about in the draft there, as we do have that return of the March of the Machines, everyone's favorite, you know, bringing us back to the old days when we used to have universal damage, ancient farming with a Tinker, as we do lose JT to that Witch Doctor. Man, that's a lot of damage out of Maledict and just the hits from him and Chalice.
I mean, if you're afraid to move on forward, that means that, I mean, Maledict was always kind of the answer to a lot of these beefy heroes, right? Anything that's just based off of a percentage of the damage that you've done is going to be really good against these heroes that have a lot of HP as well. And because he wasn't being pressured all that much, Chalice had the freedom to be able to go the Dragon Tail at level 1. Probably just going to look to try and get a little bit of action going onto Bobica as well. This is without even a Blood Grenade, and I would have to imagine after a little bit more regen from Picho, he's just going to go into more stuff that's just going to be enabling them to pick up a lot of this net worth for themselves and get some consistent kills in lane.
A bit of pinball down a bottom way, and Chalice gets bounced around in the cogs. Always funny to watch. But yeah, also, you know, you're talking about different strategies and different styles from players and teams, and, you know, definitely a much different game here emerging, of course, as Team Turtle laning stage probably going to go much better for them across the board compared to game one, which was a delay tactics game to get the anti-mage and OD off the ground. This one definitely more fast-paced for them, as already G2.IG having to do some wave cutting and dragging shenanigans there with the clockwork just to try and remedy things in that bottom lane, which Picho and Chalice are really doing a lot of damage to them.
That's what they tried to do last time, and Chalice doesn't want to let them do that. You know, you want to make sure that JT is always in a position where he's going to be punished. Him or Bobica, either one should be fine. But it just means that DK, just with his inherent tankiness, can tank up the creep wave. He's got more armor, he's got more... hold on, I was just wondering if Bobica was going to be okay. Yes, he will. But he's got more regen as well, so he means that this creep wave is going to be able to connect together again. And the creep wave is just going to be in such a dangerous spot for G2.IG to be able to play the lane. Once again, dodging out more of these cogs.
That one looked like it scraped past his backside, but we'll let it fly. And Baboka and JT just trying to mess things around as much as they can with Team Turtle down there. As up at top, we've had an Ogre Frost Mage giving armor over to Xnova and Monet, trying to protect against the double ranged, of course, in this top lane, equally from Team Turtle. It feels like it's very rare we see double ranged against double ranged.
I mean, if that's the case, then both are going to be fairly happy about that situation moving forward. I'm just thinking, like, are they ever going to be in a position to go for a kill on G2.IG, right? Because, and when can you actually leave the lane as well to be able to help out these mid lanes? That's another thing that we've seen pretty consistently across this series in particular. You know, nothing to say he had a little bit more priority in game one versus what he normally does. Normally they just leave him to do his thing, just say, you know what, you've got it. But anytime that he's got these heroes that need to play around the bottle, I'm going to be expecting some rotations coming through from probably Xnova in particular, just because I don't think JT is going to be able to farm at all if Bobica leaves him on the clockwork on this bottom lane.
No, there's no way. Yeah, if JT steps up alone, he's dead.
I wonder what Nothing to Say is annoyed about, just with that whole chat. Oh, I guess
bit of lag,
JT
probably.
is DC'd as well. That also is a factor.
What's the item build on this Tinker now with the changes? We still going for...
You're asking me, bro. I think it's a couple of null tallies into the Blink Dagger, into the Aghanim Scepter is what he did last time that he played it. It was like an 8-minute Blink Dagger and a 14-minute Ags, and then you're able to just... I think you still need to play around your level 12 as much as possible, because that's when the rearm really doesn't take an eternity to be able to channel on through, and you can obviously get that laser going a whole lot more frequently in a lot of these fights.
And then what, Kaya, BKB, Lincolns, so I guess defensive items depending on the mood and the vibe of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Kaya can be pretty handy.
He does need to build pretty heavily into just intelligence purely. It's kind of like what we saw coming through from Somnus with his OD last game, right? The Arcane Orb, it's going to be based on all of that. And for the Tinker, his Eureka innate ability is the only thing that provides that item cooldown reduction these days. Of course, the rearm not doing as much of that, so you're not just going to be able to blink around, you know, laser, rocket doesn't exist anymore, so
yeah,
it's all that sort of stuff just combining together.
Time for Meteor Hammer Tinker. Let's give him all the intelligence and mana regen that he can possibly desire. Well, down at bottom, Baboka cogsing up Picho here as the bounty rune was kind of ready to be taken there, but he doesn't want to go risking his life for it. Just trying to walk away and waddle out of that bottom lane spot. And 4 minutes about to hit as well, so he can maybe guard a water rune, but his Witch Doctor is gunning for this clockwork, chasing him all the way across the map.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't have the most mana to be able to make these sorts of plays, though. Making that even more challenging. Nicely done by him. Does mean that no one's there to be able to assist. Nothing to say on the top side, though. So Somnus is going to be the one getting the water rune pick up for himself.
Yeah, I mean, overall victory there for the mid lane of Team Turtle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well done by the Witch Doctor, just causing that bit of a problem. And immediately Picho is back down at bottom, looking to try and drag this wave back, as it has pushed quite heavily into that dire tier 1.
Yeah, this is what you want, right? You don't want JT to be able to get a lot of these levels solo. Yeah, he's one of those heroes that, again, you're playing up against... Oh, hold on. Next to the tower.
Oh, the Maledict.
The tower's actually doing the work.
Chalice, he's tanky with 7 stick charges, though. A lot of damage went onto Baboka. He pops his stick on Chalice to survive. Not enough to kill through the Maledict here onto JT or Baboka, but it looks like the staying power of Team Turtle will keep them in the lane with the regen they've got. Tango's handed over, level 2 Dragon Blood. Everything's fine and dandy for them up there. Or down there. While up here, in the top lane, X-Nova looking a little worse for wear, trying to stack the camps. Monet currently sat 25 and 12, though, so getting a good leg up over on the Razor in his lane.
It's to be expected, right? There really isn't too much of that gank potential going up against the Wind Ranger early on. I still feel like, again, it's just a little bit of a narrow hero, if that makes sense. Like, if you're choosing to take a tower with Focus Fire, it means that you can't have it for the team fight. Whereas I feel like something like Eye of the Storm even, it doesn't deal damage to towers early on, but at least you're able to take a team fight, shove the wave at the exact same time, and mean that people can't really walk into you when you use, for example, some stolen static link damage as JT's dead. Yeah,
just has the kitchen sink thrown at him there. Everything under the sun to kill that Centaur off. Dead for 20 seconds, so a free lane here for Team Turtle to play in. Yeah, I guess on the Wind Ranger point, she feels like a committal hero with non-committal skill set. Focus Fire is very hard committal, and everything else is guerrilla tactics, poke and prod. So you kind of have to toe that line between committing with your ulti and then playing that back and forth with the rest of your skill set. And of course, being quite a dainty hero as well.
Might be trying to make a play onto Yang here. They'll probably only catch Planet. Although very nice spell casting, making sure to play around that calling to try and prevent himself from getting caught inside the cogs. He basically stands inside of the calling rather than trying to run away, knowing that there was no way for him to be able to get away from that. And once again, Somnus enabled. You go for a kill, sure you get it onto a support, but what's more valuable? Somnus having an Arcane Rune on his level 6 Leshrac, or getting a kill onto a support?
Well, here we go, the battle of the lane pushing. Pulse Nova versus March of the Machines. Fight! Down at bottom lane, Dragonite and Witch Doctor right on the tail of the Centaur yet again. Stomp there trying to hold them back, but it looks like the damage is already done. Ooh, hang on, Maledict wears off. Tinker has come in. JT from the high ground turns back to kill off Picho. Very nicely done. Oh, the neutral queen. Got him. Oh, no.
JT. I was going to say,
because he's going to get the kill on the Enchantress here for sure. Plasma Field, no mana and no cooldown. While 7 minutes hits, JT grabs the Wisdom Rune as Somnus tried to contest it, but he's still going to get the kill on his Centaur, who is having some serious struggles in that bottom lane.
I mean, that's basically as good as the Wisdom Rune, right? To be able to get the kill, you basically get as much solo XP from that as getting the Wisdom Rune would have done. And then, of course, just to be able to go back, get a nice bottle refill from the rest of the team. With the Arcane Rune, this is what I'm talking about, the power of just being able to rotate across the map with a hero like the Leshrac. And, Team Turtle don't have the same issues as IG does, right? They really have no tower taking potential outside of X-Nova on this Enchantress, and they don't necessarily have great team fight either without the Stampede. So the fact that they've put this much pressure onto JT means that everything's just going to be delayed so much, and even more so.
This is huge. They saw nothing to say. He's dead to a neutral, though. The Granite Golem comes to punch him down. Picho is going to try and turn around on JT, who stomps and double edges the Leshrac, but now stunned up, caught by the Maledict. Don't land the Split Earth, though, so no follow through there as Chalice was a little late to the party. In comes Baboka with X-Nova and Monet rotating. Trying to catch up to Somnus here. The Leshrac getting slowed down. Damage is coming. Cogs will trap him. Somnus absolutely dead, trapped in the cage. IG bringing the numbers down bottom to defend their Tinker, who died to an Ancient Creep.
I was begging for the Dark Troll Summoner there to turn around and hit him, get the third neutral kill in a row. At the moment, neutrals are level with G2.IG in terms of their kill score right now, but I mean, everything that's happening is just without Yang, without Planet. They were just able to get a little bit more of this farm for themselves, a little bit more solo experience, shove the lane into the tower. It's just, again, such a heavy committal just to be able to get one kill in return. So I'm a little worried for G2.IG, if I'm being perfectly honest, for what they're going to be able to do in the early parts of this game. It really just is all around nothing to say, isn't it? He's so close to that blink.
Radiant Ward sees them all. And they'll get the stun. Immediately start things off on Baboka. They've seen this coming, but Chalice is still getting dived under tier 1 tower. The Centaur stomped from the neutral and the hero, but Chalice is still alive. Now finally dies. In comes Yang, though, with a Razor, trying to turn back onto Monet, but the Wind Ranger slipped away with the Wind Run. And they lose the clockwork, but they kill the DK. Even undervisioned there. G2.IG making it work.
This hero, man, it's way too good. I think he took, like, trying to add them together, like 2100 damage, and he has less than 1400 health. So, like, that's the amount that you're able to regen, and of course he would have had a magic wand, and he's got, you know, the bracer to be able to provide him everything else on top of that. It just takes so much time to be able to kill just this one hero.
This march of the machines getting very annoying as Planet is just going to straight up die to it. The Tinker comes in, spams some spells, and Muerta dies.
Didn't get the 10-minute power rune. Somnus did, and it's a haste rune on a Leshrac. They will see him, at least coming through with this observer ward on the top side of the map. Means that JT, he's running scared again for his life. He's just trying to get the hell away from any sort of aggression, and he's going to walk into Yang, actually. Oh, stop him.
They're fighting over the twin gate. Yang. There's no getting out of this one now. With the Wind Ranger arriving, focus fire. Maybe Roshan, a denial inside the pit. Oh, he's going to get it as well. Three
Neutrals
so
are up
far.
to 3.
3 so far on the neutral count. I don't know what neutral was the first one, because we had a Granite Golem and a Roshan as the second and third.
Whatever was in the hard camp at the time. I think it was a regular troll.
Okay, a little troll trapper or whatever it is. Tower push now going to come into effect from G2.IG. And just trying to trade out as they've already lost their top tier one there. Of course, to the Leshrac with that haste rune who just sped up to top and take down the objective.
Man, you take your eyes off Nothing to Say for 1 second, and he has just exploded on net worth to the top of this charts, right? Like, he is farming out lanes. Again, he's trying to hit that level 12 timing and the Aghanim's. That's really what he's looking to go for. So if they can try and retain as many of their tier 1 towers as they can while he does this, then, well, they're all gone now, so obviously that's not going to be the case, but you just need map control to be able to more easily, not just for him to join in, because you can just use Keen Convergence once it's level 2, but for the rest of the team to be able to join in onto him, because Nothing to Say, he's the one, I think, that's going to be communicating constantly this game. He is the one that is going to be your playmaker, your late game carry, your everything for G2.IG. Hopefully for his sake, he's going to be able to get his first power rune of the entire game.
I mean, he's the Avengers. He's Batman. You send up that flare, that light into the sky, right? And you're like, are you coming? Are you ready, Tinker? You're going to come and save me? And he'll answer when the call is made. It's down at bottom. They make another play onto Yang. Monet, being drained of all of his damage, though, has to back away. And with Pucho arriving, not something they can keep on fighting for. As we see the level there on the Witch Doctor is still level 5, 12 minutes in. Clockwork is basically just cracked level 6 alongside the Enchantress. These supports are struggling to get their levels in this game.
At least they have those ultimates, right, to be able to play around outside of Pichu. You know, obviously it's going to be very important for him to be able to get into that. He wants to make sure that he's, you know, in position to be able to join into, honestly, pretty good lockdown, right? Like, you've got Deadshot, you've got a Yule Scepter from Somnus, who's going to catch out poor JT once again for his 4th death of the game. And the amp damage certainly just makes it even easier. Feels like this Blade Mail is like, I guess they do have a reasonable amount of, like, unavoidable damage coming through from Team Turtle, but it feels a little bit more like a farming item to me, you know, just enabling him to be the one that takes a few more of these Ancients. I feel like when Nothing to Say is, like, ready to go in about 800 gold, it's going to be to make space for JT to be able to get into any sort of farm for himself, because he's still a good 2,100 gold away from his Blink Dagger.
Yeah, he needs a ton of time. I guess at least he got that Blade Mail just before dying. Yeah, give him the Ancients, let him farm away, get to that Blink as quickly as you can, because you need that second layer, along with the Clockwork Hookshot, to have that Stampede Blinks done, to be able to catch out heroes like this Lesh and Razor before they get their payload out. Yeah, this is where the map starts to get interesting, right? You've been saying with this Tinker, you know, lanes get pushed out quite easily, he's able to split push and just be that old, irritating Tinker that we all used to know and love back in the day. He's farming multiple camps at the same time and just outstripping everyone in terms of acceleration in that farm department.
Love? I don't know about love. I know there are a lot of people that were pretty big exponents of this hero, honestly, even being removed from the entire game, let alone nerfed, so...
I don't know what your problem is, honestly. A hook shot up top.
Hook shot.
Dragonite caught out by Baboka. Monet's here with that freshly purchased Maelstrom. And Nothing to Say, yeah, the back signal was put into the sky, so the Tinker, of course, will oblige. Oh, the dead shot. Tries to catch up to Baboka there, but Clockwork with Vitality Booster, Raindrops, Wand, pretty freaking tanky. Looks like he's going for that Vanguard and I guess Crimson Guard build again.
All right, so I'm having a quick look at some of this itemization. Oh, by the way, when is Witch Doctor going to use Grigri? That's always the question on our minds.
Oh my god.
Still got it available. 325 gold saved up there.
It's either like minute 37 or never. You know? Like, end of the game, he's still got Grigri in his inventory.
Maybe just for a big power spike around the time that they want to, you know, go for that Roshan, go for that high ground push. It honestly might not be all the way until 37 minutes. Maybe like 30, 31, when he looks to try and get into an item that's going to give him like a bit of a catapult in net worth there. So the thing that I was...
Yeah, go on.
Sorry, go ahead.
Nah.
So I was looking at the itemization coming through from Team Turtle, right? And I don't see any 4-stars. And I think that's actually going to be really important whenever you're going up against a Centaur to try and run away. But the Clockwork is the one, right? Like, you want to try and get out of those cogs as quickly as possible. And with nothing to say, with this laser, 100% miss rate on that laser. So if you're catching multiple people inside the cogs, there is nowhere for them to run while everything else is going on. So I think, like, I saw that briefly with that attempt that they were making onto Chalice, just because he joined in and got the blind onto the DK. He wasn't actually able to hit himself out of the cogs. You actually need a way to force yourself out of there, or just pop the BKB.
Yeah, there's 4 staffs, and there's also this kind of BKB waiting room, right? Looking at all 3 cores of Team Turtle, trying to get into their BKBs as quickly as they possibly can. I guess DK, Blink Dagger first, probably, so that might be a bit delayed. And Razor definitely going to rush into it.
You're not going to have that luxury, right? So before you get to that point, it's almost like, okay, well, we need to get Ogre Seal Totem.
Baboka's in.
Go.
Yeah,
you can't get out.
Stuck in the cogs, does turn and kill Baboka, at least trading for his life. And now with the march, look at this, March of the Machines placed, the calling is down, this control of areas of the map, which is very difficult to bypass.
And they've left, so it means that JT just stuck around a little bit too long.
Comes in with Chalice, blows him up. X-Nova is now lurking the shadows away. And nothing to say, TP'd out, and just leaves G2.IG stranded out here. As I think, well, they pinged him out. Picho has caught a glimpse of this Enchantress. They've scanned. It looks like he's in the scan. He's not turning red, though.
Spidey senses are tingling, though. You plan it? Doesn't seem like it. Alright, so despite everything that's happening...
Did he just dodge both of the scans?
Oh, yeah.
Is that another Radiant scan? It's 2 Radiant scans, and he's in between both of them. Does Enchantress have an innate ability that says scans do not turn red when placed on it? No. No. X-Nova, just too good.
Mm-hmm. I think Enchantress needs more buffs, to be honest. I think it's a pretty good hero right now, but... yeah, I mean, that's another thing that I feel like X-Nova's done a fairly good job at as well. He was the one that enabled them to take their only tower thus far on the map, right? Playing around that 10-minute mark, getting the bottom tower. Even if it did mean JT died on the top side, they just needed something to be able to open up the map a little bit. As, good God, Yang has a lot of stacks to be able to farm for himself. Get him into that nice little BKB timing, and I'm sure it's going to be around that 20-minute mark where Team Turtle just say, all right, we got our items, we're going to be pretty close to Bloodstone at that point, let's take Roshan, and let's start threatening going high ground.
It's just putting the onus onto G2IG here in terms of initiation. But it kind of feels like Team Turtle want to be the ones to get gone on.
Hold on. Hold on.
And Picho, he will get gone on. All 3 of them there. Blow him up.
They'll be able to follow up. They got
as well.
Rocket. Ooh, hook shot. Hook shot.
They didn't see him, right?
Random one. Rocket Flare was just off the mark. Probably, honestly, not wanting to do it as well, at least until Tinker's level 18, just so that you're able to keen conveyance onto the actual heroes as opposed to any sorts of creeps. I don't think they had any like little kobolds out that he could TP onto as well. Even just the little bit of less time to be able to rearm is such a key factor as they find Chalice.
Yeah, Blink Stomp to start things off, and the hook shot to follow through. He's trying to farm BKB up here, but there is no escaping, as even Monet's going to show his face up here. And this would be that prime situation to, you know, go and sneak a Roshan, go and grab it, but with 2 heroes elsewhere on the map, kind of difficult for G2IG to get in there, and, you know, Tinker and Windranger are not the best Rosh-taking heroes right now. Not just yet, anyway. As it looks like Team Turtle actually rallying around Somnus in this top left corner. They lose their DK, but they're still itching for a fight. He's not got Bloodstone yet.
They have no Stampede, they have no hook shot, so let's try and find someone trying to pick up a lot of this farm. Nothing to say. He's just dodging out a lot of this aggression coming through, playing around the Ancients as much as possible.
The Dire Watcher there. We're going to see them. And JT unable to get out of there.
He's going to reach that level 18 timing, Gary, and he's looking pretty scary. He'll probably have the BKB finished up at that time as well, so how are you actually going to be able to lock down? Nothing to say on his Tinker. The Arcane Rune, it's just Somnus. Absolute treat of items to play around.
Trying to protect this Enchantress. They come in with Yang into the backline onto X-Nova as they've blown up a Boca. Blink Stomp on 3 inside the cog still. Yang, though, is dispatched with Monet. This Razor goes to work. Nothing to say. He has arrived, though. And he blinks in aggressively. Trying to protect JT. The Centaur defense matrix placed on him. Another TP forward. Nothing to say. Was thinking about that Blink reinitiation. But they can't get that follow-through done. In the end, what is it? A 2-for-1?
2 for 1, and I mean, the fact that, honestly, I saw Monet die, it was to Yang solo, and that is never really what you want to see, right? Like, a Wind Ranger who has plenty of ways to be able to escape. The lockdown wasn't necessarily that great. They were just able to chase him down fairly consistently, even through the win run.
And that BKB difference. Just BKB and run at your enemies. We nearly got that Bloodstone on Somnus as well. That is a big difference maker as we enter these fights. And JT looking at Eternal Shroud, as I believe we just saw the Enchantress finish off hers. So we're getting some very tanky heroes here on G2.IG, and potentially matching up against the tankiness of... Oh my god! Oh!
I mean, does that say, hey, we can go Roche now? Does that say we can, push the lanes out? Look at the lines being drawn on the map. They're basically saying they don't have supports to be able to play around with, so let's take away some of the map. We've had this entire game where we haven't been able to do this sort of thing, but now, finally, maybe we're going to be able to convert onto someone.
We're up to 5.
We are up to 5. Let's go neutrals. Neutrals are winning TI game.
Oh my god, look at them. Oh man. Yeah,
you would have died as well on Somnus if not for the fuels.
I saw the 3 messages on the left-hand side and I thought Somnus had died. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. I thought they had all died to the Tormy. Goodness gracious me. Well, no harm, no foul, I guess. Nothing major done on the map by G2.IG. They get a little bit of extra breathing room, a bit of farm time, so accelerating to their next items like the BKB on the Wind Ranger. And maybe a bit of map space here to jump in onto Planet. Hook shot with a TP from Nothing to Say. Should be able to claim them the kill on that position 4.
Just looking at Planet's item build as well. He's got an Atos into a Shadow Blade next, so it feels to me like he just wants to find this Tinker somehow in a lot of these fights. I'm not sure if you're going to have that sort of luxury when he doesn't have the defense matrix built in onto himself. It really feels to me like the silence is the way to go. If you get really lucky, you can put the calling down. You might get the strong dispel, but you end up blinking forward through your translocator facet into another one of the silences, and then you can actually find the lockdown that you need. So he hasn't even needed to use the BKB yet, Gary.
Let me just keep it nice and fresh. 9-second duration. Roshan now in that bottom right-hand corner. G2.IG in perfect position here to get some ward coverage down, protect that area, maybe even just slip into the pit.
I have a legitimate question. Have we seen a single Death Ward this game?
No.
Or a Pierce the Veil? I don't think we have.
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
And that's really where it's all kind of come apart. It's the story of 2 very different drafts for Total Shore between game 1 and 2. I feel like this is a fairly easy draft to execute, right? Like, you've got 2 heroes that can push into towers, you've got a Razor who's hit a lot of his timings, and you haven't been able to take a tier 2 off the back of it. And instead, you just sit back, let Nothing to Say hit up onto his level 20. Now he's going to be able to rejoin into fights a whole lot more easily with that Keen Conveyance. Minus 0.5 seconds onto it. And he's just, getting stronger and stronger.
It's just so scary how quickly they come out of the woodwork as well. You're just
So,
casually, you know, in a lane, and all of a sudden there's a centaur blinking on you, a hook shot from the fog, and a Tinker TPing.
And this is what I was talking about when I asked for less predictable initiation, right? If you know that it can come from so many different avenues, and this is prior to Tinker getting like a Scythe of Vice, for example, like it can get even more treacherous for anyone on Team Turtle to step forward, because you've just got the potential to die so quickly in a lot of these engagements.
BKB for the Wind Ranger.
5-man smoke into an Aegis.
Yeah, and this is Aegis, freshly purchased BKB Wind Ranger. This is risky business, but if Team Turtle can get the jump onto a key target, if they can find the Tinker, for example, it could be huge for them, as both teams now smoked up and some deep vision there from the Radiant placed. As Baboka and JT have wrapped around near the Radiant Tormentor, Radiant scan does connect. They know where they are, up on his high ground somewhere. They see Monet, they see nothing to say. He blinks away, he gets the distance. Now the turn, Baboka's about to die. Split Earth landing, but the cogs there trapping in the DK and the Razor as Monet runs straight in towards them. Nothing to say, spamming out with the blink forward yet again, and JT trying to blink stomp. Over the Razor again has found out Yang. Chalice dead. In comes the Tinker, spamming the laser. Summoner's turning on him with the help of Planet. Pierce the Veil, but Monet with a double kill. Onto Planet will go with JT, double edging her down. And in comes another blink stomp onto Somnus. The damage is overwhelming. Nothing to say. Will finally die. They clip the Tinker's wings. And Somnus, he's stayed alive. He's burning them down. This Bloodstone's going to town. Somnus, he's picked up a double kill and maybe even a triple here, but he's run out of mana. Needs to land a stun to allow the Witch Doctor to come in. Monet's still here. No Aegis, no BKB though. Gotta be careful with Somnus. His Bloodstone up. X-Nova TPing out. There's no more stuns. He's used himself. Oh my god.
But he's not unkillable, Gary. That is the big take point from this one. It was only a 4-kill streak that Nothing to Say had. He'd been building up a lot of this net worth away.
That regen rune, that's what it was.
Yeah, the regen rune, just allowing him to just stay so consistently in these team fights as well. Just backed off for half a second. And you see how less effective this Tinker is, you know, with that pure damage when the BKBs are able to be popped, right? It was a quick reaction for him to be able to get away, but they just couldn't turn around and have that same level of effectiveness. I say that, he still did 7,000 damage, so it's not like they were lacking. But, you know, as soon as they're able to catch him out with the Yule Scepter, the thing that I was about to mention before that fight broke out is just the wording on the defense matrix with the translocator. I'll hold on to that while we watch a replay coming through here. And you just see he's forced onto the backlines really early, and it's good use of the BKBs to be able to get out of the cogs, right? You don't need to be stuck in there. You're not, you know, completely linked up next to each other, and that's the big difference maker in my opinion. Just being able to dispel the defense matrix onto the Tinker without the fact of needing the without needing to actually damage through it. It's the Yule Scepter that did it. So the offensive dispel component meant that he just had to cast it again. He started running out of mana, and it meant that he was having a little bit more difficulties as poor JT guys.
Somnus was 1v4 there, and he 1v4s them. Absolutely nutty stuff.
So, just to go back to it, Tinker, let's have a hover over the translocator facet, please. When a self-defense matrix barrier on Tinker is fully absorbed, he blinks in a random direction. Now, in my opinion, with the strong dispel component, I take this to mean you need to damage through it, not Yules it off, as when it goes away, and that's why you're going for a nullifier as well on Yang. I think he's actually finished it up as well. So they just need ways to be able to get through this while he doesn't have BKB available and not able to recast it on himself.
DK though. Chalice down. Anyway, you show on the map, you're being found by G2.IG, so you can't have these split push moments. You can't be a straggler there trying to catch a wave or anything like that. Team Turtle have kind of been hemmed into a position where they have to play as 5. And like that last fight, yes, Leshrac 1v4, but that was Bloodstone regen rune going, right? What is he going to get that chance again? Probably not.
Probably not.
In addition to that was
control over the Turtle side of the map, though.
Yeah, that was Team Turtle having the better smoke, better scan, better read, better initiation, and G2.IG still come out on top in the fight. I guess that, you know, Aegis on the Wind Ranger was expended, but there's a lot of little nuanced factors here that's going to go into this next fight where we don't have these little additions for both teams. I think it's also nice thinking back on it the way that, yes, they use BKBs to break out of cogs, but they also use them to run away from the March of the Machines, right? Tinker spent like 60% of his mana laying down 4 marches, and they just ran away from them. Very important to reset your positioning in the fights.
Yeah.
Especially as a Witch Doctor or a Muerta who are just dying to them.
Yeah, I mean, Witch Doctor is eventually going to be able to have the Aghanim Shard for himself, though, right? Like, he's going for the Guardian Greaves, I assume, mostly to be able to remove stuff like the Glipnir from himself, just for a little bit of that Dispel component. But just to be able to actually stand within a march and toss down the Voodoo Switcheroo, I think, could really catch them off guard a little bit. You know, you don't want to be recasting that, that defense matrix too many times in these team fights.
Oh, family-style farming ancients. Yeah, give Baboka a bit of help. Aghanim Scepter just about done. Somnus smoked up with the rest of his buddies. And Chalice will join them as well. There's Team Turtle. Moving in towards that bottom right-hand corner of the map. There's no Roshan for at least a minute and a half here. So they're not playing into a Roshan take. It looks like they just want to try and capture a bit of land here around the enemy ancients. So they will blitz stun Ex Nova, trying to get on this Enchantress to blow her up. And down he goes. Gem on the Witch Doctor as Baboka trying to escape here with the cogs blocking their path. Wrapping around though, and he's trying to pop the rocket flares here to scout them out. Nothing to say, blinking in and out. Dragon Knight, though, he's made the jump on the JT, pops his BKB. Yang moves in onto Monet. Stampede in the wind run to try and get away, but JT's been caught up in the fear and the stuns. Dead, and down he goes as Baboka, trapped in the cage of his own design, blown up as well. Has nothing to say. He's got a BKB TP. Have they got another stun to catch him or stop him? They do not, so he's in Fountain safely.
Yeah, I think they just used the nullifier a little bit too early there. Still had about a couple of seconds left on the BKB. So even if they did stun him up, wouldn't have been enough to be able to lock him down and take him out. But you just see, you know, you use everything onto him and he's able to just get back to Fountain, go back to the top side of the map, shove in a wave. You know, it's so hard to be able to catch out this Tinker, and he hasn't even been peaking in his damage yet, right? Like, he's not yet level 25. They find the quick burst. It's nice to be able to take away this gem onto the Ench to be able to start things off, and I honestly thought it was pretty well done by Baboka. I mean, his job in these fights is to just provide all the vision that Nothing to Say could possibly want, to be able to say, can I step into this fight or can I not? They're trying to bait out these BKBs as much as possible, and those triple rockets getting away over the cliff. It's just that they were able to catch out JT with a lot of that lockdown. He needs a BKB for himself. He's going into the Shivas just to try and limit a little bit of the impact from the DK, from the Leshrac in particular, but beyond that, he needs a BKB desperately.
And now we've got Boots of Bearing on the Muerta as well, so even more ability here to chase into the Stampede, disengage from the March of the Machines. And good optimization coming out of Team Turtle as they to kind of tie this game back up, dead even in terms of net worth and kills. 32 minutes in, nothing in it. And game 2 on a knife's edge here, and it just feels like it's going to come down to these smoke moves. That immediate initiation from both teams. Very apparent that sneaky wards and good map control here, placement around especially Roshan. You see here that observers from Team Turtle very, very nicely placed to catch a glimpse of everybody from G2.IG. They're wandering into the pit. The Sentry Ward misses it. Team Turtle, this is their chance. There's a Dire Ward up on his high ground that's going to see the Razor TPing in.
All these Shadow Blades as well. They're probably going to see DK stepping on forward.
The Blade's done.
Find the initial.
They're trying to find the Tinker. Nothing to say, going to turn though, and Chalice getting blown up. He didn't BKB. Yang in the mix of things here, chasing Monet. Somnus now having to run away. Team Turtle, a whiffed initiation there. They had all the room in the world. Chalice just didn't press BKB.
Yeah.
3 heroes down off of that one mistake.
He got a little bit panicked, right? You see all this March of the Machines, and you're like, oh, do I go in? Do I not? He kind of wanted to back off, not wanting the blink to be put on cooldown, and he just forgets. He forgets to pop it. You know, if you're going to commit onto the Tinker like that, I feel like you really need to confirm that kill. You need to follow it up into another stun, because you don't want the risk of, yourself being locked down and then they just stampede themselves away. Really quick reaction speed, though, coming through from JT and Monet to be able to back up Nothing to Say. This series has really just turned into the battle of the mid laners, hasn't it, Gary? Like, just Somnus and NTS teams playing around them for the majority of it. You can see why whenever NTS is able to play the Tinker for sure. And he's got even more damage coming out now. Level 25, plus 80 laser damage. He's got the Kanda finished up, and even an Ogre Seal Totem as well. So I mentioned that that would be a pretty useful item for Team Turtle to get, just so that you're not playing around the cogs, you're not wasting your BKB to be able to get out of it. But also just to be able to have that additional way that cannot be nullified, to be able to get, you know, disengage from a few of these team fights.
And Monet has also been kind of sneakily getting up there in net worth as well. It hasn't felt like Wind Ranger has had massive impact, very often just being chased by the Razor, you know, walk the dog kind of thing with a static link, but now you're going to have a Daedalus soon up on Monet, so he can actually start getting on top of people and killing them off. Let's look at this, March of the Machines, covering fire there, the minefield basically. An uninhabitable area of the map as they take the tier 2. Now with Aegis in hand, the entire map belongs to them.
Feels like, once again, it's their game to lose on G2.IG. But we had the same story in game 1, just
yeah, don't say that.
Kind of reverse, though, right? It was the early game that they weren't able to capitalize on. This time around, they've been able to hold the fort. They've still got all of their tier 2 towers to be able to play around. They've hit level 25 first on their mid laner. More importantly, you've got that Shiva's Guard and finally building into the BKB as well on Centaur. Plus, of course, the Daedalus that they want to use with 3 minutes left on the timer. They would love to be able to catch Planet outside of the base, and Bobica might be able to do it on this bottom side. Should see the calling here. There we go. That's going to be the gem lost as well.
Yeah, both gems being handed over in the previous fight, now into this one. Clockwork Enchantress recovering both of those gems now.
Somehow been able to play behind. Has he found him out? Oof, no. No Scythe yet. Nothing to be able to stop Somnus from getting away.
Not quite yet.
Just a 2.8 second Arcane Blink cooldown, by the way, for NTS.
No big deal.
Nope. Who cares if Rearm doesn't refresh items anymore? How are you supposed to step into this fight? How are you supposed to use Blink Daggers? You've got Fire March the Machines patrolling along everywhere.
I mean, you start
Chalice didn't have BKB again.
Just gonna die again. Does get the BKB out to escape, but yeah, I don't know, these Blink initiations from Chalice without BK being an indication that they don't really want to commit for it, but also you end up BKBing in the end. So yeah, kind of a wild decision there to maybe poke and prod at G2.IG. Just poking and prodding an angry bear though. There's nothing to say. He starts to lay down even more layers of March of the Machines. And he's been pinged out. I mean, they see him. It's just a matter of how can they get to him.
They've somehow still got these wards up here. Bobica's standing right next to them, so they actually can see the entire backline from G2.IG. And they've, I was about to say caught out, nothing to say, but it's able to blink on away.
Yeah, they'll get the D-ward now with the gem. Doesn't move back to that Radiant Vision, but it looks like G2.IG not wanting to hard commit to this barracks. They got the tier 3, now they can move around the map and push out this mid lane, make life hell for Team Turtle as they are literally turtling back in their base. Flipped over on the back of their shell. The heroes in a half shell going to try and hold on to this one as G2.IG have come out with an 11k lead now and back into that bottom lane. Right onto Chalice with no BKB. He's hidden away with a Glimmer Cape, I think, whatever it was, but dead nonetheless as the damage spills out from the power shot and the March. There's buyback available here for the Dragon Knight, but I don't know, just let this barracks fall, it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be useless for the next 10-15 seconds anyway while he waits for the Elder Dragon form and the BKB to come back off cooldown. So yeah, just overstepping his bounds a little bit that time. And it feels like they really don't want to commit all that heavily onto Monet. He's still got 30 seconds left on the Aegis, and he wants to make the most of it. Be the one sieging a lot of these towers as they briefly catch out, nothing to say, but 60% stats resist. Actually, they go in and find Huerta.
Yeah, Planet's dead. Has buyback. Dragon Knight has spent his as well. The Team Turtle really itching for a teamfight initiation here. As you see Chalice kind of stepping up and wanting to blink in under that observer ward vision that they got down.
Yeah, this ward by X-Nova was so good as well in the lane. Like, they saw that they were coming with the Shadow Blades. They saw that they were trying to engage in onto them. And they, of course, get the buyback out of Chalice. That's the big success story coming out from this. Very much different story from game 1. He was dominating on his anti-mage, and now he's got basically the net worth of a Clockwork, a support Clockwork, 1, 7, and 7 on his DK. Certainly feels like a little bit of a shift in the style that's most effective for him.
Just 6 or 7 minutes ago, we were saying how it was dead even, right? No net worth lead, no kill lead. It was all nice, and just that one whiffed initiation, the failure to press BKB in that bottom right corner around the Roche pit has led to G2.IG having a massive, massive uptick here as they press forward again. Moving in under radiant vision, blinking and stomping. Chalice dodges. JT does get the stampede away, and nothing to say will blink back into the tree line as well. Go up there on a power shot, just poking back at the Razor now. As Team Turtle, they've got to remedy the lanes. Bottom lane all the way on their base, mid lane approaching as well.
You mentioned the lanes. I really feel like the good strategy is to let them do the majority of the work, right? Like, you've built into a bunch more defensive stuff as well. X-Nova, he's got the Lotus Orb built up. You've still got the Roshan's banner to be able to play around. If they wanted to, they could play around this double siege creep wave maybe a little bit more strongly on the top side because it's going to take a little bit longer to get there, but maybe just with that no secondary life, knowing that, you know what, we still have our own scaling potential for ourselves, they want to just back off, get their tier 4 items done really quickly, and look to re-engage because, hey, you've even got a BKB now for Oberka to play around with too.
You're talking about how close he is to the DK net worth. BKB on a freaking clockwork. On you go. And what is that? Kanda on the Tinker now. Incredible amount of burst damage. Very irritating hero to contend with in these fights now. Like, it's no longer a hero that you can kind of, ignore and kill everyone else. We'll deal with the Tinker at the end. This is now, we have to blink stun the Tinker or the fight is over.
Yeah. It really feels like, I guess they don't want to make any too aggressive moves. I mean, I say that, they might be ready to do it with the Dark Troll Summoner. I wouldn't mind if they waited for this Lincoln Sphere on Monet. He's getting pretty damn close to being able to finish it up, and you've already got a Lotus Orb. You will have a Lincoln's, you will have a Tinker with the Defense Matrix put on you. Just put the Wind Ranger on the high ground, right? Have him focus fire down these towers and take it slow. Just do it one at a time. How are they supposed to engage onto you when you've got all these defensive items for yourself? And a bottom lane just passively pushing in. I think that's why Team Turtle have gone for this smoke, but unless they catch someone instantly, this is going to be pretty damn obvious. Down bottom, that's why Yang needs to reveal himself, but they'll see that there's just a plasma field and Manta illusions coming out of nowhere, so just look to group up around some potential high ground vision. X-Nova not putting it down just yet. I have to say he's going really far forward with that ninja gear.
And this is the stage of the game now where you kind of think back to the draft and consider, okay, Team Turtle have tried to defeat this nothing to say Tinker through gameplay, right? Through execution rather than picking a hero-to-hero counter, through that tempo they've got. But you would wish you had a Clockwork or a Zeus or a Spectre or something to get on top of him, but you do not have that gap close ability. As Sobnus, his smoke broke there. G2.IG stepping up and holding the staircase.
They want the backline smoke.
Another smoke to wrap around again. And what is it? 40 seconds for next Roshan to respawn. Yeah. We're currently sat 2 minutes until nighttime. And Somnus, Shiva's guard out, saw the march of the machines. Not able to latch onto anyone just yet. But both teams now fully understanding where each other are, right? Radiant scans, they're going to connect. G2.IG have seen them walk past. So smoke into smoke one more time. Leshrac out in the open a little bit. High ground vision for the Radiant team.
The Skeleton's just patrolling the backline, giving so much information.
JT, he might jump this if he just sees Chalice, the sentry in the ward that gets dropped, and they saw Chalice for a brief moment there. They'll get the D-ward going. They want to run of Atos and try and catch out the Enchantress, maybe? Team Turtle needs to find the Tinker in the back. And Razor, he's gone. Both beelining straight onto Monet. Dragon Knight has made the jump. Evoker with the cogs, blocked them out. Nothing to say, blinking away. Somnus on the left-hand side trying to focus into the Tinker, who just BKBs and TPs while Yang is dead. Monet and JT get the job done. Now Picho in trouble. The Witch Doctor is falling quickly. Chalice and Somnus, though, chasing onto Monet. Lincoln's has popped. Dodges away from the Dragon Tail stun, and Tinker, he's come back in, full resources, he's got all the spells, his full arsenal unlocked to blow up the Dragon Knight yet again. 70 seconds on the timer here for Razor, 100 for the Dragon Knight, and Roshan is there, in the pit, just ready to be taken by G2.IG.
I'll admit it, I underestimated what NTS was going to be able to do with this Tinker. You know, I mentioned it back when it was he only had about 7k net worth, and he had just ballooned like 2,000 ahead of any other hero on the map, and all they did was just leave him alone for a couple of minutes. I thought with this high tempo draft, with being able to push in, with the Leshrac, with the DK, and honestly Razor doesn't need that many items to be able to make a lot of work happen. They would be able to take away a lot of the map that they needed to farm, kill him before he was able to get into this Aghanim Scepter for himself, and he just got into it way too fast. Like, how are you supposed to contest against this?
I'm just imagining the team comms, like how many times have we got players saying, I've got the Tinker, I found him, you know?
Nope.
You've got Yang's like, I've got the Tinker, Somnus finds him in the trees as well, and nothing to say, just jumping around, and march. Yeah, you little bastard, you're marching machines all you want. GG called, it's over. Game 2, G2.IG's, our boy Jack Chen tying it up here in this best of 3. We're heading to a final game of the series here in the lower bracket to see who progresses through to face off against Azure Ray in that lower bracket final. I mean, what more could we want? And nothing to say, Tinker. A game 3 and a BO3, and Danog is getting real hot in here.
Ice in his veins as well. Not even a little smile on the man's face. He knows what he did. He knows that he's gone with this cheese pick and been able to make it work. And Monet, no smiles from him that time in the draft, but a much better result coming through. I thought the Wind Ranger, he played it pretty well in the laning stage in particular, right? Just never really being under too much pressure of getting gone on. Just the one death. I think the big difference to me was Chalice in particular. Just not able to be that real big tower pusher. They only did about 4,000 tower damage combined across all of Team Turtle when you've got a really early-ish oriented draft to be able to make it happen. So I also said it as well. I wanted to see multiple forms of initiation come out from G2.IG, and we got it, right?
Yes.
We got the Wind Ranger being able to move in with the Wind Run and get the shackles off. We got the hook shot. We got the blink. We got the stampede. It just enables the draft so much more heavily. This was the one shining light, it felt like, for Team Turtle to be able to potentially claw their way back into the game, but it took absolutely everything out of Somnus to even get those couple of kills, and even then Xnova just ends up TPing away.
Yeah, Regent and Bloodstone helping him out tremendously there. And just thinking about the conversations we've had and the story we've been telling, you know, Somnus coming back here, like you said the other day, was regarded as that kind of robot, right? You know, a lot of mid players going up against him just saying, you know, you said Sumail in an interview said, Somnus does not make mistakes. This maybe guy is an absolute machine. But now you come out with a nothing to say Tinker against him. You know, machine, robot versus robot potentially in that mid lane. Yeah, definitely, I think you pointed out, hit the nail on the head. This series is coming down to draft-wise, strategy-wise, protect your mid laner. Somnus and nothing to say, the key elements here, the keys actually to unlocking this game and getting yourself toward TI for both of these teams.
And not even the final step either, right? It's I think it's called the Hillary step, which is like the one just below the peak of Mount Everest. They've still got to get beyond that. They've still got to get through Azure Ray, whoever ends up winning this one. So the fact that it'll probably be good for them just to already have this high pressure situation for them going to 3 games. Yeah, obviously you would love to take a 2-0, but just to understand, you know, a little bit more of, you know, what's good, what's not, what style suits our team even better, because especially for Team Turtle, they have not played a bunch of games together. This is only their like 4th closed qualifier series together, and they played a bunch of opens, but they're mostly best of ones, right, against teams that probably weren't going to provide them too much of a challenge. So the first time that they've actually dropped a game in these closed qualifiers, and is because of that, man. Nothing to say, 9-2-13, 88% kill participation, a crazy amount of hero damage, and yeah, his net worth just ballooned completely out of control. I'm actually having a look at the net worth graph, and it's kind of insane how quickly he separated himself from the rest of the players.
Yeah, it really, you know, does remind me of the old days where we, you know, thinking back to universal damage and, you know, killing ancients off. Of course, we don't have universal damage anymore, but ancients do take magical damage now. And with that large camp and ancient camp next to each other, Tinker just goes there with a couple of stacks, and that's, you know, 2,000-3,000 gold suddenly in his pocket that gives him that balloon effect like you're mentioning. So there we have it, tied up, one apiece, and we're heading into that last game of the series. A quick break before we come back with game number 3.
The official headset of PGL tournaments. Now, with a wireless version. Experience unparalleled speed and reliability with the latest wireless technology, advanced hybrid ANC, and built-in EQ for your favorite game. Designed with elegance and durability, and extreme noise-canceling microphone. Always stay one step ahead with Aspire Wireless.
Welcome back, one and all, to the Chinese regional qualifiers here on the road to the international as we head into Game 3 in a best-of-3 lower bracket elimination time. Team Turtle taking on G2.IG. Game 2, Danog, nothing to say, Tinker, not banned, let through, resolves in a victory for G2.IG, so we now come down to a best-of-1.
We do indeed, and I'm going to give a little bit of a spoiler here. Coin flip went the way of G2IG, and they chose second pick. We've seen a lot of teams choose first pick this time around, and I was going to lead into this with like, okay, well, you've seen the Tinker absolutely crush you. So at what point are you actually going to be able to get away with banning it out, right? Can you do it in the first phase? Do you need to wait until the second phase? And I feel like with this second pick, they're basically saying, if you don't ban it first phase, we're going to first phase pick it, and then we're going to have a couple of extra bans to be able to protect it. So I'm going to be keeping a very keen eye on Team Turtle and their phase 1 bans in particular, just to see, are they identifying this? And honestly, G2IG as well, right? Are they identifying ways to have heroes that are banned that are both good in the lane, but also can move into the Tinker's farming space before he gets to that really scary level 12 position and is able to take over the game?
Alex, what was the situation in the previous game? G2IG had second pick there as well. They had that last pick. It was first pick Witch Doctor into Clockwork, and then the round of bans, and then we had Enchantress with the Clockwork, DK Muerta on the other side, and then the Tinker was the third pick, right? Kind of came out of there and said, right, you've got the potential here to pick one more hero to deal with it, which was the Leshrac in lane and that pushing power to try and accelerate the game out of contention. But then you still have that round of bans after the Tinker pick to protect him, with the Doom and the Night Stalker ban, which felt really nice.
You need to make a really deliberate decision if you're going to let the Tinker through, that you've got someone that's able to rotate a little bit more effectively. Like Witch Doctor, not exactly the greatest rotator, doesn't have a ton of movement speed, can't really catch up quite so easily, doesn't have a ton of that burst damage just on his own. Just to be able to even leave the lane and like ward up the Tinker's camps inside of the Ancients area, right? Because from level 7, he can basically just do it with the March of the Machines maxed out. So that's really what I'm keen to see. Look to try and punish him before he's got too many points in the stack.
Dragon Knight, and what did he end up, like 1 and 8 or something on the DK, whiffing a few initiations, didn't feel very comfortable in terms of the way he was playing up against that Tinker. So yeah, focus against, nothing to say, and I think a bit more focus for Chalice here. Yes, you give a lot of emphasis to that mid lane for Somnus, but you can't just you can't just give a DK and hope Chalice is having a good day.
Yeah, no, for sure. I liked the flex. I liked that you still had the option where it could have gone into multiple lanes. I even liked it being paired together with the Witch Doctor, but just for whatever reason, he wasn't vibing with the hero, right? Only 11k damage done on a DK in a 40-ish minute game. Seems kind of nuts. So I actually quite like a lot of these bans that are coming out here. Team Turtle, I'm assuming that they want to pick up the Clockwork perhaps for themselves, just with this first phase. Again, it's flexible. You can throw it into multiple lanes. Maybe it's the Weaver that they choose to go for themselves, and they might ban out the Clock right now. But like the Storm and the Shadow Fiend targeted bans, like the Tinker targeted ban, Chen, just very annoying to have to play against. Means that you need to like rally around a defensive choke point a whole lot more effectively. And Willow, of course, there's a reason it's got an 84% win rate.